Alcatraz Island, the island of no return. In the midst of San Francisco Bay, surrounded by treacherous currents and icy waters, lies one of the most infamous prisons in American history. Alcatraz, known as the Rock, this island fortress was once home to the most dangerous criminals in the nation. Alcatraz was designed to be inescapable, a place where the most hardened convicts were sent to disappear behind its thick concrete walls. From 1934 to 1963, Alcatraz served as a federal maximum security prison. It housed notorious criminals like Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Surrounded by frigid waters and patrolled by relentless guards, the prison boasted a perfect record: no successful escapes, or so they thought. On June 12, 1962, the impossible happened. 3 cunning inmates vanished into the night, leaving behind a trail of questions and a legend that continues to captivate the world. The escape was meticulously planned. The inmates crafted tools from everyday items, chiseling away at the walls of their cells. They navigated through the ventilation ducts, reaching the roof undetected. Under the cover of darkness, they descended the prison walls and made their way to the shoreline. Using a makeshift raft constructed from raincoats, they set off into the treacherous waters of the bay. The next morning, the guards discovered the empty cells and the tools left behind, sparking a massive manhunt. Despite an extensive search, the inmates were never found, leaving their fate a mystery. The escape from Alcatraz remains one of the most daring prison breaks in history, a testament to human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of freedom. Section 2. Masterminds in the making. The trio behind this audacious escape were far from ordinary criminals. They were men of exceptional skill and determination, each bringing a unique set of talents to the table. Frank Morris, the mastermind, possessed an IQ reportedly in the top 2%. His intelligence was not just a number, it was a tool he wielded with precision. Morris had a history of escaping from prisons, making him a seasoned expert in the art of evasion. The Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, were Morris's trusted accomplices. They were not just followers, they were integral parts of the plan. The brothers had grown up together, developing a bond that was unbreakable. Their loyalty to each other and to Morris was unwavering. These seasoned bank robbers were as tough as they were loyal. Their criminal careers had honed their skills in planning and executing complex operations. They were no strangers to the high stakes of their endeavors. These men were driven by a deep-seated yearning for freedom. Their lives behind bars were a constant reminder of the liberty they had lost. Every day in Alcatraz was a day spent plotting their escape, fueled by the hope of a life beyond the prison walls. The 3 men determined to escape began planning their breakout more than a year in advance. The trio spent months preparing for their escape. They crafted tools from everyday items, turning spoons into digging instruments and creating life vests from raincoats. Their resourcefulness was nothing short of remarkable. They had to be incredibly cautious, hiding their activities from the ever-watchful eyes of the guards. Every move was calculated, every action deliberate. The risk of discovery was always present, but their resolve never wavered. Communication was key. They developed a system of coded messages to coordinate their efforts without arousing suspicion. The darkness of night became their ally, providing cover for their clandestine operations. Testing their escape route was a critical part of the plan. They had to ensure that every step of their journey was feasible. The rugged terrain of Alcatraz presented numerous challenges, but they were undeterred. As the day of the escape approached, the tension mounted. The trio knew that this was their one shot at freedom. They prepared meticulously, leaving nothing to chance. On the night of June 11, 1962, they put their plan into action. The escape was a daring feat, a blend of courage, intelligence, and sheer willpower. It was a moment that would go down in history as one of the most legendary prison breaks of all time. The aftermath of the escape left Alcatraz officials baffled. The trio had vanished, leaving behind a trail of questions and a legacy of audacity. Their story continues to captivate the imagination, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Section 3. The Escape Plan. The escapees were housed in adjacent cells in the B block of the prison. They used this proximity to communicate and work together on their plan. Over several months, they devised an elaborate escape strategy that involved careful timing, precise execution, and resourcefulness. Each man began by widening the ventilation ducts in their cells. These ducts, located at the back of their cells near the floor, were just large enough for a person to squeeze through if they could be expanded. The inmates used a variety of improvised tools, including spoons stolen from the prison kitchen and a makeshift drill fashioned from a vacuum cleaner motor, to chip away at the concrete around the vents. Noise was their biggest enemy. To mask the sound of their clandestine activities, they worked in rotating shifts, timing their efforts with the nightly orchestra practice that echoed through the prison. The music provided a perfect cover, allowing them to chip away at the concrete without arousing suspicion. They concealed the widening holes with fake vents, meticulously crafted from cardboard and paint pilfered from the prison workshop. These vents were so convincing that even the guards, during their routine inspections, failed to notice anything amiss. Once they had widened the ducts enough to crawl through, the men gained access to a utility corridor behind the cell block. The utility corridor was a narrow space that ran behind the cells in B block, where the escapees were housed. This corridor contained the essential plumbing, electrical wiring, and ventilation systems for the cell block. It was designed to allow maintenance workers access to the back of the cells without having to enter the inmates' living areas. This corridor was unguarded and led to the roof of the prison. The escapees used the corridor to move between their cells and a secret workshop they had established above their cell block. Alcatraz inmates had access to certain areas of the prison, such as the yard and parts of the cell blocks, where they could see the surrounding waters. The escapees spent time carefully observing the tides, waves, and currents from these vantage points. They noted the patterns of the tides, when the water levels rose and fell, and how the currents flowed at different times of the day. The inmates also paid close attention to the weather. On foggy or stormy days, the bay's conditions could become even more dangerous. They would have looked for clear nights with favorable conditions, calm seas and low wind, when their chances of successfully navigating the bay would be highest. Understanding the water's behavior was crucial to their survival. As the strong currents could easily sweep them out to sea, the men created dummy heads to place in their beds. These heads were made from a mixture of soap, concrete dust, and toilet paper, and were painted with flesh-toned paint. They also used real human hair, which they obtained from the prison barbershop, to make the dummies look as realistic as possible. The primary purpose of the dummy heads was to create the illusion that the inmates were asleep in their beds when, in reality, they had already left their cells. Alcatraz guards conducted regular checks throughout the night, shining flashlights into each cell to ensure that all prisoners were present and accounted for. The dummies needed to be convincing enough to withstand these checks, giving the escapees several crucial hours to make their way out of the prison and across San Francisco Bay. The escapees constructed a raft primarily from raincoats that they had collected over several months. These raincoats were made of rubberized canvas, which made them both waterproof and relatively lightweight, ideal for constructing a makeshift raft. The men gathered more than 50 raincoats from fellow inmates. Some of these were donated willingly, while others were acquired by more daring means. The rubberized material was perfect for making the raft buoyant and resistant to water. To bind the raincoats together and ensure the raft was watertight, the escapees used various materials available within the prison, such as glue and rubber cement. They also melted plastic and other materials to create a sealant for the seams. The men crafted makeshift paddles from scrap wood found within the prison. These were essential for propelling the raft through the water once they launched it. The escapees carefully stitched the raincoats together to form the base of the raft. They used needles and thread that they had acquired from the prison's sewing facilities or other sources. The process required significant patience and skill, as the seams needed to be strong enough to hold under the weight of 3 grown men and their supplies. The trio also tested their life preservers in the prison's showers, ensuring they would hold up under the strain of the bay's waters. They practiced their escape route repeatedly, refining their plan until it was flawless. Communication was key. They developed a system of coded messages to coordinate their efforts, passing notes hidden in books and other innocuous items. This allowed them to stay one step ahead of the guards and maintain the secrecy of their plan. As the day of the escape approached, the trio made their final preparations. They looked out at the bay, knowing that their freedom lay just beyond the prison walls. With everything in place, they were ready to make their daring bid for freedom. Section 4. Escape into the unknown. The night of June 11, 1962 arrived. A thick fog rolled in, blanketing Alcatraz in an eerie silence. It was the night they had been waiting for. The tension in the air was palpable, the guards unaware of the pending escape. One by one they slipped out of their cells, moving silently through the prison. They navigated the prison's labyrinthine corridors, their hearts pounding. They scaled the prison walls, using a combination of clever planning and makeshift tools. After crawling through the utility corridor behind their cells, they climbed up plumbing pipes to reach the roof of the cell block. Moving carefully across the roof to avoid detection, they then descended to the ground using a drain pipe or makeshift rope. Once on the ground, they faced the final obstacle, the prison's perimeter fence and walls, which were topped with barbed wire. They likely used makeshift ladders and covered the barbed wire with blankets or cloth to protect themselves while climbing over. After successfully scaling the walls, they reached the shoreline, where they inflated their homemade raft and launched it into the bay, beginning their daring escape. They vanished into the cold waters of the bay, their fate uncertain. The silence of the following morning was deafening. The guards discovered the empty beds and cleverly crafted dummies. The news of the escape sent shockwaves around the world. A massive manhunt ensued. Search teams combed the bay, but the escapees had vanished without a trace. The empty cells stood as a testament to their daring and determination. Alcatraz, once a symbol of confinement, now also represented the possibility of escape. Section 5: Ghosts of Alcatraz. The aftermath of the escape was a whirlwind of speculation and unanswered questions. The daring breakout left authorities and the public alike in a state of shock and curiosity. Did the trio perish in the icy waters of the bay, their bodies claimed by the strong currents? The treacherous waters of San Francisco Bay have long been known for their deadly undertow and frigid temperatures. Or against all odds, did they manage to make it to shore, disappearing into the annals of history? The possibility of their survival has fueled countless theories and investigations over the years. The FBI's official investigation concluded that the men drowned. Despite extensive searches, no bodies were ever recovered, leaving the case shrouded in mystery. However, a lack of conclusive evidence fueled numerous theories. The absence of definitive proof opened the door to endless speculation and debate. Some believe the escapees reached freedom, settling in South America. The idea of the men starting new lives in a distant land has captivated imaginations for decades. Others whisper of a new life under assumed identities, forever looking over their shoulders. The notion of living in constant fear of discovery adds a layer of intrigue to their story. Over the years, tantalizing clues surfaced. Each new piece of evidence reignited interest in the case and kept the mystery alive. A reported sighting in Brazil. Witnesses claimed to have seen the escapees living quietly in a small town, blending in with the local population. A Christmas postcard allegedly sent by John Anglin to his family. The postcard, bearing a cryptic message, added another layer to the mystery. Even a deathbed confession from a man claiming to be one of the Anglin brothers. The confession, though unverified, added to the legend of the escape. But concrete proof remained elusive, adding to the enigma of the great Alcatraz escape. The lack of definitive answers has ensured that the story of the escape remains one of the most enduring mysteries in American history. The legend of the escape continues to captivate and inspire, a testament to the enduring allure of Alcatraz and its infamous history.